Blog Talk Radio.
You're listening to Funky Monkey MMA.
Welcome to another edition of the Funky Monkey MMA Radio. I am Rob Mead, joined by my co-host, Freddie Rodriguez. How you doing today, bud?
Doing real good, Rob. How you doing?
Pretty good, man. Pretty good. Let's talk about who we got on the show today. UFC competitor Brian Melancon. How you doing today, man?
I'm doing well. How about y'all?
Pretty good.
All right.
Doing real good today, Brian. Nice talking to you. Let me give him a little background on who we're talking to. Brian is just coming off a win at UFC 162. I'm sorry. It was UFC Fight Night 27 is when he's fighting next. The UFC 62 got a last-second win over Seth Kuczynski. 4:59 of the first round. Is that right?
That's correct.
Nothing like waiting until the last minute to finish.
Yeah, you know, has to be a little exciting.
No kidding. That was a really good fight. So you're going to fight Kelvin Gastelum. That's the winner of the last Ultimate Fighter. Am I correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Have you guys trained together at all?
No, he's from Arizona, so no, never trained together.
All right. It looks like it's going to be a good fight. I was watching some of your fights, getting ready for this, and just looking at that matchup looks really good. Kind of a wrestler striker versus straight up wrestler. I haven't seen him do very much striking. I'm sure he's improved his game since the last time he fought. But watching your striking style, seeing you throw those vicious uppercuts, yeah, it's going to be a good fight.
Yeah, it should be action-packed. He does like to throw some hands, sometimes to disguise his takedowns, so he tries to keep you guessing. So it should be an action-packed fight. I don't think either of us is going to take too many steps backwards. So.
Yeah, we had a fighter on last night who's going to be in the XFC in September, Tommy Truex, and he was talking about how one of the big problems with fighters right now and on the pay-per-views is that they're not willing to put it on the line to win, standing in front of each other and let's bang.
Right. Yeah. That's never been a problem, as you probably saw from some of my videos with me. I'm not really afraid to get hit, and I like to go forward and to mix it up, so that usually makes for pretty exciting fights, on my end. So.
Yeah, I see. It seems like you kind of wake up once you get hit.
Yeah.
So how did you get into this sport,
Brian? I was actually about to ask him that.
What's that?
How did you get into the sport?
I actually saw UFC 3 live on pay-per-view. I was 12 years old, and Chemo versus Hoist, that fight actually, made me a fan for life. And I'm from a small town here in Texas, and there's no really, place to train. There was no place to train at that time. So I got into sports, baseball, weightlifting, some other things like that. And then when I was finishing up in my master's in physical therapy, I'd had some injuries from weightlifting, and I needed a workout. So I bought some Boss Rutan big DVDs of combat and started teaching myself and some friends off of instructionals, and then it just snowballed from there.
So you were doing the garage training when you first fought. So where was your first fight at?
My first fight was here in Houston. After I finished school, I moved up to Houston and joined a gym. And then it was about maybe 6 months later, I had my first amateur fight up in Dallas, and then had like 3 more amateur fights between Texas and Louisiana. Very nice.
Yeah. So what would you consider yourself? Would you call yourself a striker, wrestler?
I like to, I started training because I didn't have one specific discipline that I started out on. I didn't start off on any one thing before the rest. I started training everything kind of all together. So that's how I feel like my style is really well-rounded. I feel like I can wrestle with, high-level wrestlers, and I can strike with, high-level strikers. So, and as well as, grappling as well. So I try to really make sure that I can, compete in each discipline with really high-level guys. So I'm not, one-dimensional in any specific area. That's kind of what I've always worked on. The ground game and wrestling kind of came a little bit easier to me. Striking, it took a little bit longer for that to kind of develop, all the things putting together, head movement, footwork, timing, all that kind of stuff took a little bit longer than the ground game. But now I feel like I'm pretty well rounded.
Yeah, you seem like that new breed, the next breed of MMA fighters who are actually brought up as mixed martial arts fighters. We first originally started this and we had jiu-jitsu guys and wrestlers and boxers and karate guys. And now it seems like more and more you hear, when you ask somebody what their background is, that, they're a mixed martial artist.
Right. Yeah, that's kind of how you pretty much have to be nowadays. A lot of the guys, I still think wrestling is the best base if you have one specific thing that you train in from the time you're a kid. But, everything else, you have to be, more than adequate. You have to be able to compete, especially at this level, in those other disciplines.
Yeah, definitely, no doubt. So what's your biggest inspiration? What makes you fight?
Really, it's just competition. My family and friends, the ones that know me, know that I'm highly competitive. From the time I was a little kid, I always wanted to win and compete at different things, and I've always channeled that into a specific sport. And, gave it 100% until, I either met the goal or found something else. And this was, something that I always wanted to do. And when I finally got the chance to do it, I just kind of, went full force into it. So just seeing how far I can go and how much I can, achieve, that's really the only thing that drives me. It's, I look at it a little bit differently maybe than some of the other guys. To me, it's just that it's a hobby, it's a competition, it's something that I do, but it's not my life, it's not my profession, it's not, my whole life isn't revolve around, MMA. It's one part of it. So that helps in a lot of ways, and I may take away in some aspects, but my only goal when I first set out was to be in the UFC and to win. I actually had a coach. My former coach, the first one that I had, I told him, I want to be in the UFC and win, and I said, I don't want any other goal. That's the only thing that that I want. So I said, if you think that I can achieve that, I said, then I'll give everything I got. But if not, then there's other things I can do and just train for fun. And so that was the goal that was set, and fortunately I was able to reach that, and so. Everything else is I look at it as kind of icing on the cake. Of course I'm going to give 100% and do as best I can, but I'm just going to enjoy it as well. So, I enjoy the competition aspect of it.
So you mentioned it's not your lifelong dream. What do you do outside of the ring when you're not fighting or training?
Well, I'm a physical therapist. I treat patients in home health right now. I was, running or overseeing at 4 different outpatient clinics, so I enjoy physical therapy. I enjoy that. I like going to the lake, camping out, things like that, outdoor sports, spending time with my wife. My family is back about an hour and a half from where I live now, so I go back and visit them and, just enjoying life, enjoying the people around me.
Yeah, it seems to be a big aspect. You have something to fall back on after fighting. Your career is going to last 5-10 years at the most. What are you going to do after that? I feel like a lot of those guys, I'm not going to mention anybody, Tito, coming back to fight after they've, done everything they can at this point.
Yeah, that's the problem. I think that's a problem with a lot of people is they get so focused on the goal that they neglect other parts that are very important. It's very hard when you're coming up through the regional and local shows to be able to just be an MMA fighter with with what you're paid. You certainly can't support a family with that, and you can't really take care of yourself. So for the ones that put that pressure on, they have to make it, so to speak, in order just to survive. That's really a tough way to go about it. But some people need that pressure to thrive, but to each their own, I guess.
Yeah, pressure makes diamonds or dust, I guess.
There you go.
How supportive was your family and friends when you first started doing this?
My family, my dad, it's funny, he played at University of Texas. He played football in the 70s. He was a couple of years ahead of Earl Campbell. And of all the people, whenever I started doing this, I thought would understand the competitive aspect of it, he was the one that didn't get it. He's like, I don't understand why you're going to do this when you have a nice career and a degree and all that kind of stuff. And I was like, well, I said, of all people, you should understand, how much I like to compete. And he comes to all my fights and everything, but he just still kind of shakes his head. He's like, I don't know, I just don't get why you're doing this instead of, pursuing your career. But, he's always there for me, and my family is always there for me. They're, my biggest supporters, and they're there no matter what, win or lose, regardless of what happens. So
that's always a good thing to have somebody, has your back.
Yeah, so, definitely. You need that.
If you could have a dream fight with anyone, whether it be someone who's dead or alive, who would it be?
Oh, man, that's a good question. I'd have to say it would be with GSP, just because that's the person who has the title. I mean, if you're going to dream of a fight, you might as well be, the best guy in the world in your weight class. So I'd have to probably say him.
Right on. So, after the grueling weight cut and everything, what is your favorite thing to eat after the fight's over and everything? What's your favorite thing to chow down on?
French toast. Because I don't eat any bread or anything like that after, all through the camp. So afterward, there's two things. French toast and pizza. Those are the two that I splurge on the next couple of days. Like this last one afterwards, I think the night of the fight, I had about 4 different slices of pizza from different restaurants, and then after the next day we had pizza again. So those two things definitely I miss whenever I'm training. So.
Right.
Yeah, I'll have some French toast for you up until that point.
Nice.
No more cutting weight.
No more, huh?
So I don't see any nicknames for you. I looked all over the place, but I didn't see any nicknames for you. Do you have a nickname?
No, I don't have a nickname. I didn't want anything that seems like it's forced, to be put on there or anything like that. And I don't have any nicknames that anybody, still calls me. So, no nickname.
Absolutely. We're going to take a little break here to thank some of our sponsors.
Okay.
Funky Monkey MMA.
Real quick, I'd like to thank Hype Extreme Wear. Hype Extreme, where true athletes go for gear and support. Hype, helping you prepare every day. You can check them out on Facebook, Twitter, or on their website over at hypeextreme.com. Also, I'd like to give a shout-out to KOBKfighter.com. You can go check them out. They got awesome $10 T-shirts, some badass G-shorts. You can also like them on Facebook as well. Go visit them over at KOBKfighter.com.
Funky Monkey MMA.
I just love that announcer. We got to do that.
Yeah, that is pretty awesome. I wanted to ask you, are there any other sports other than mixed martial arts that you like to watch or anything?
Well, a friend of mine is actually an all-star. He plays for the Dynamo. His name's Corey Ash. He came into the gym one day wanting to learn some MMA in the off season, and so I started, giving him some private lessons and stuff like that, and then doing some strength and conditioning work with him. So we became friends. So I had never really watched soccer when I was younger, but now I go to some of the games and stuff when I can and cheer them on, and so that's been pretty exciting. But I generally just love sports. I'm a huge football fan. and baseball. I like to really watch any live sport. I'll go and check it out and enjoy it. So it's nice to to be able to do that in Houston. We have all the major sports covered, so we can go see them all. So I just like sports in general.
Who are you training with for this? What training? Who are you using?
I train at a place called Paradigm Training Center. I've been with them for, since about 2010. My longtime training partners, Jeff Rexroad, he's the Legacy Champ, which is one of the biggest regional shows in the nation. Mike Ronzoulis, who is he's on that Fight Master show now. He's been a longtime training partner of mine, and some other up and coming guys, Lester Batres and Andrew Craig, who was in the UFC. He comes in and we get work in too before our camps and sparring sessions and stuff like that. We have really high level coaches and Division I All-American wrestler as our wrestling coach, Grant Johnson. Igor Santos is like a 5-time national Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu champ. He's our Jiu-Jitsu guy, and then Jeff is MMA coach over there. So it's a really good group. It's a really good group of guys that we've been together and kind of built it from the ground up, which is something that we always talked about going back 6-7 years ago that we wanted to do. And now it's all coming to fruition. So it's a really good team.
Yeah, I've seen Mike Ronzoulis fight. He looks pretty good on that show. He had a great fight to get into the show. Get into the house.
Yeah, he did. His last fight was really good too. Stuffing the wrestler and making space and putting him out.
Yeah, that was a good fight. Yeah, that show's pretty good. I enjoy that show.
Yeah, I enjoy it, of course, watching Mike, and then there's a few other Texas guys on there too. So I like to catch it and see how they do.
Absolutely. So Rob asked you a few minutes ago, about a nickname. I'm going to ask you another embarrassing question. What's the most embarrassing song on your iPod?
The most embarrassing song on my iPod, huh? That would have to be, there's a song called Bulletproof that's a pop song that my wife, she's my wife now, but when we were dating, this song kept coming on all the time, and so we would laugh about it, and that's probably the most embarrassing one that's on there.
I'm going to have to Google it.
Yeah, you'll laugh. It's pretty funny. It's from maybe 2 years ago, a year ago, something like that. It's a real poppy song that gets kind of stuck in your head, catchy tune, but it's funny.
So what's your game plan for the rest of the year?
Go ahead, Fred.
What was that?
What's your game plan for the rest of the year after this fight? Where you see yourself headed after this?
Well, I mean, I'd like to, of course, go in there and get an exciting win. That's goal number one. And then after that, I originally asked to be on the Houston card. Whenever this opportunity came up, I kind of took that instead. So I had come off from a year layoff in like January before I got the last fight. So I've been dieting and training, because I had to get back in shape. I've been dieting and training for about the last 7 months, pretty intensely. So I'm looking forward to a little bit of time off for, to enjoy my family, go on a few little vacations and stuff like that for the month of September, and then we'll get back into the gym and, see what happens after that.
That sounds like a good plan.
Yeah.
So when everything's said and done, you hang up the gloves, what do you want people to remember you for at the end of your career?
I'd like them to remember me for, number one, being an exciting fighter that wasn't, there to just, put on a slow, boring win, but to put on an exciting fight and credit to my skills. I'd like to, be remembered as a good fighter, and also, remembered for some of the things that I like to put out there, like about the charity that I work with called Fight for the Forgotten. Justin Wren is a former UFC fighter who goes to the Congo and there's an entire, race of pygmy people that are short in stature that are treated in subhuman conditions as animals. And what he's doing is partnering with the university down there, buying up land, freeing the slaves, and teaching them a sustainable way of living, agriculture and clean water and things like that. So I'd like to everybody to remember that and try to help that cause.
How can they get in touch with that cause? Is there a website, email address, somebody can contact them?
Yeah, it's called fightfortheforgotten.com. You go on there. There's an option to donate. You can read a little bit about what the mission is, and Justin is putting together the full website now that'll be more interactive. He's going over to the Congo. He leaves in September for a year to further the cause. He's leaving. He just got engaged, but he's leaving, his fiance and leaving everything here in the States to go over there for a year and devote his life to that. And so it'll talk a little bit about that. But the website will be updated over the next month or two as he prepares for that. So you can read about the statement and, like I said, donate if you're in the position to do so.
We almost made it through a whole show without me mentioning. But I read about this originally on the Underground. I should get royalties for talking about the Underground.
There you go.
Yeah, that's where I heard about it first. I saw it. He posted on the Underground and had some videos on there that were pretty startling. If anybody gets a chance to help that charity out, please do.
It's a great cause. It's funny you mentioned the Underground. I've been a long-time member of the Underground as well since about 2005. But I don't post on there too much, just occasionally here and there.
Oh, so you're just a lurker.
Yeah, more of a lurker than a poster.
That's great.
Yeah.
What's your handle on the Underground so we can all look you up and give you some crap?
It's BJM82. It's my initials.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. Everybody thinks I'm Big John McCarthy on there. Every time I post something, they're like, Big John McCarthy, is that you?
That's what I thought, too. That's hilarious. I'm actually on the Underground as we speak right now.
Nice.
Using the Underground app.
It's 10 minutes before you're walking out to the fight. What's going through your head in that moment?
For me, nothing really. I said, in my post-fight interview, Fedor was always my favorite, fighter, and just the calmness that he walked in with. He looks like, you would just see him at the grocery store, and then he goes out there and demolished people. And that always stuck with me. I've never been nervous before a fight. I thought I would before my first amateur fight, and it never came. And then I was like, well, maybe I will when they announce me or when I get in the ring, and it never happened. And so I've never been nervous. So I try to stay calm, and we laugh and joke around with my training partners and cornermen there, and then that's it. And then everything else is just saying a few prayers, making sure everybody's okay and safe throughout the fight, and that's it.
Does your wife or a fiance, I'm sorry, does she come to your fight?
My wife does, yeah. She's been to most of my fights. She met me already when I was a pro already competing, so she's used to it now, but she still gets really nervous and anxious about it, and it's funny, I saved a ticket. We get 4 tickets for the UFC, and we can't go out of the locker room. We're basically quarantined in the back after our fights unless you save one of your tickets and you can go back out in the crowd. So I saved one of mine this time and went out there with them. And she was still nervous and shaky for about an hour after my fight was already over. So I was like, baby, it's done. It's finished. I don't have a mark on me. Why are you still worried? She's like, I don't know. I'm just nervous. So
yeah, that's great. We only have a few more minutes left. Is anybody you want to give a shout-out to? Thank your sponsors, whoever. You have the floor here for a few minutes.
Of course, I thanked all my training partners earlier, and, I want to thank God. I've really been blessed in my life, being able to, have the option to do many different things, and a lot of people don't get those options. So, I'd like everybody to kind of, take up that part of it and try to help those people that don't, and that cause Fight for the Forgotten is one of the reasons why, I'm trying to be with them and get their name out there. So that'd be a great way to do it. And then all of my family and friends for always supporting me, and my teammates and my sponsors. Red Gear was a big sponsor for this last fight, and they were really supportive. And that's it. Thank you guys for having me on the show, and look forward to the fight, and hopefully it's an exciting fight, and maybe I'll be back on.
Absolutely. We'd love to have you back on the fight. Good luck.
Awesome.
Good luck.
Thank you all very much. All right.
All right, you can catch Brian at UFC Fight Night 27 in Indianapolis, Indiana, at the Bankers Life Fieldhouse, August 28th, live on Talk Sports 1 and FX. Make sure you check that out. That's going to be an incredible fight, I'm telling you what.
Yeah, those two guys are going to go to war. Kelvin Gastelum brings it every time. If you haven't seen Brian Melancon fight, he comes at you, head straight up, throwing the whole time. It's going to be a war.
Absolutely. All right, so this has been another edition of Funky Monkey MMA. I just wanted to give another shout-out to our sponsors real quick.
You're listening to Funky Monkey MMA.
Hype Extreme Fightwear. Hype Extreme, where true athletes go for gear and support. Hype, helping you prepare every day. You can check them out on Facebook, Twitter, or on the website over at hypeextreme.com. Also, KOBK Fighter. KOBKfighter.com. $10 T-shirts, some badass gi shorts. Go check them out, KOBKfighter.com. Go like them on Facebook. Also, while you're at it, go ahead and like us on Facebook, Facebook.com/The Funky Monkey MMA. If you would like to sponsor a future episode of the Funky Monkey MMA, you can email us over at funkymonkeymma@gmail.com. Also, subscribe to us on iTunes, YouTube, and now we are on Stitcher Radio. Go ahead and check that out. Download all of our episodes. This has been another episode of the Funky Monkey MMA Radio. I'm Rob Mead.
I'm Freddie Rodriguez.
We're out. Have a good one.
Funky Monkey MMA.